It's that time again. Save money now and buy these Nintendo Switch games before it's too late. I have years of experience buying games at the end of past console generations for cheap prices, and now some of them are worth hundreds, if not thousands. So I've spent hours going through the full Switch catalogue to let you know which games I feel will go up in value and the reasons why. Stick around until near the end of the video, as I've included a bonus item that isn't quite a game, but it's something you need to act on now and collect while the time is right. I want to thank everyone that watched the previous video in the series. Your support means a lot. We're building a great community, and I can't thank you all enough. Okay, let's get to the games. We're kicking off today's video with Blasphemous 1 and 2. Why start off the show with one game when we can do two? Blasphemous 1 has been out on physical for a good while now, and it's held its value really well. In fact, it's increased in a lot of areas and is relatively hard to come by. Blasphemous 2 looks like it's doing something similar. I recently picked this one up myself, and I actually struggled to come by any physical copies in the game shops that I normally use. But I was able to find one for around £40, and I think this is a telltale sign that this one's going to be hard to pick up. These are side-scrolling games that give Dark Souls vibes. They're pretty hard, but definitely worth looking out for and playing. If you're interested in picking up games that will increase in value, I do think these ones are some to keep an eye on. Pikmin 1 and 2. We started off the episode with two games, so let's continue that theme. This physical release gathers together Pikmin 1 and 2 from the GameCube and gives them a nice HD makeover and has them appearing in handheld mode on your Nintendo Switch. I've been a massive fan of Pikmin since the start, and there's no better time to get into the series and have the collection together than now on the Nintendo Switch. You can almost play every game that's available right now on your handheld. Pikmin 1, 2, 3 and 4 are all available. We're only missing the 3DS title, but never say never. Hey Pikmin might come along eventually. The reason I'm picking 1 and 2 is that I think the print release for this is probably relatively low. They also released this set of games digitally first of all, and I think that fear of missing out for a lot of people and wanting to play these games straight away will mean they've picked up the digital version and forwent the physical version. But as I've said in past videos, getting a full collection of games, or nearly a full collection as this is, on one system means that some of these games are probably going to be more sought after, as you'll get fans of the series wanting to complete the whole collection down the line. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX. I had a few comments on the first video in this series asking why there were no Pokemon games, and I said I would get to them eventually. We had one on a previous episode, and here we are again. Some of the hardest to get Pokemon games, or the ones that have held their value, have been the spin-off games. I assume this is because they get a lower print run, and they're less sought after when they have first come out. But down the line, this is a massive franchise with a huge fan base, and you're always going to have people wanting to pick up every title in the series. Persona 5 Royale Steelbook Edition. So at the moment, you can get Persona 5 Royale for the Switch for a really decent price. First of all, this is an Atlas game. We should all know by now, Atlas games do hold value really well, and oftentimes they will increase in value, and there are rare cases where the games will absolutely skyrocket. I don't think Persona 5 will skyrocket in quite the same way. It is available on many different systems and has been a huge seller, but that's why I've chosen this Steelbook edition. At least in the UK anyway, you could get this as a Steelbook edition with a slipcover and then the physical cartridge inside. I don't see it for sale anywhere at the moment. You've just got your standard edition now, so the Steelbook was one to keep an eye out for on the second-hand market or any game stores that may have a few copies left over. The silver case 2425. Here we are meeting our good old friend NIS again. NIS published games always seem to go up in value, and I think this one won't be any different, especially if you can pick up the collector's edition of this release. Coming from the mind of Suda51, this game has a fan base. It's really wacky and really interesting, which you would expect to probably be the case from this developer. Again, this one is ticking all the boxes. The game isn't relatively well known, it's NIS published, it was made by a beloved game developer, and it got a special edition version. You might have to hunt around a little bit to find this one, check it out on eBay or CEX, but I'm sure you'll be able to pick up a copy somewhere, and I'd say this is one to get in on before the price increases too high. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. This is a bit of a strange one. It is the third game in the series, but the other games in the series don't appear on this system. Usually I would say if an entire series appears on a system, you should try and pick them all up because one of them will become rare, but in this instance, I think it's the other way around. Because only one game in the series appears on the Switch, I do think this one is going to be hard to get. Fans that end up loving the series, or that are fans of Marvel, will want to pick this one up. And it's the only real good and big Marvel game that we have on the Nintendo Switch. While PlayStation may be getting the like of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, this was the Marvel game that came out on the Nintendo system. And it's actually a really fun and cool game. I don't think it's quite up there in terms of the other two games in the series, but it's definitely well worth playing. It's held its value quite well, and for a time there it was relatively hard to come by. If you see this one and you're interested in comic books or their video games, pick it up. And ending the episode with our physical bonus item again, this one is alternative Joycon. Much like when I talked about the Pro Controller, picking up any pairs of the alternate Joy-Cons is probably something you're going to want to do before it's too late. Personally, the ones I really want to touch on are the Skyward Sword Joy-Cons that consisted of the Hylian Shield and the Master Sword. First of all, as a big fan of Zelda, these just look really cool. The fact that you have the Master Sword and the Shield, it's awesome. But again, how many people have kept these safe? And how many people have opened them up and used them? How many copies came with Joy-Con Drift? And how hard is it going to be to find them in the future? I would say it'll be relatively difficult. Special edition Zelda controllers have held value really well in the past, and some of them have been very, very expensive. I remember a time when the gold Joy-Con for Skyward Sword was a really, really hard to get item on the Wii, and I think these Joy-Con have the potential. But if you're a big fan of Zelda, it's just a reminder that you might want to pick these up. Even if they don't raise in value massively, they're a really, really cool item for the series. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe on the video. Leave a comment below if you've played any of these games or if you have any other suggestions. I really, really appreciate this, and I couldn't do it without you guys. I'll see you all in the next one.